I still remember the sting of that slap, not just the sound, but what it meant. It wasn't just her palm against my cheek. It was everything she thought I was. "Don't you ever touch my daughter again," she screamed. I had been patting baby Hazel's back just gently because she was choking on her bottle. Milk was bubbling at the corners of her mouth, her little face going red. I did what any decent human being would do. But to Miranda Langford, the lady of that $1 million estate, I was just the help. A black maid who, in her words, should know her place. She stormed across the marble patio, silk robe flaring behind her like some angry queen. Hazel had just coughed up whatever was stuck, finally catching her breath, and I was mid-sigh when Miranda yanked her out of my arms. The baby screamed, and I, wet from the koi pond I'd just been shoved into, stood there shivering and speechless, heart pounding in my ears. "You worthless little leech," Miranda hissed. "By tonight, you're gone. And if you dare breathe a word of your lies about me, I'll make sure no family within 100 miles hires you again." I didn't cry, not then, but I wanted to, because I knew this wasn't just about me holding her child. This was about the thing I saw 2 nights ago, the thing she couldn't let anyone know. I'd gone into the side hallway for Hazel's bottle. That's when I saw Miranda, wrapped in a silk slip, locked in the arms of Garrett, her husband's longtime friend. Their laughter, her hand on his chest. It all snapped into focus the moment Miranda spotted me in the reflection of the glass cabinet. Her face stiffened, not with shame, with fear. And I knew then she'd come for me. So when she made that scene by the koi pond, I wasn't surprised. But I didn't expect Mr. Langford Daniel to step out just as I was climbing out, soaked and shaking. His voice was sharp, cutting through the cold. "What's going on here?" Miranda spun it fast. "Said I was hurting Hazel, hitting her back too hard, trying to make her choke." She played the victim with tears on command. Daniel looked at me, eyes cold, and said, "You work for me. You don't touch what isn't yours. Understand?" I nodded. What else could I do? That night, I packed my bag. I didn't want to stay. I didn't want to be anywhere near that woman. But around 9 p.m., there was a knock on my little apartment above the garage. It was Daniel holding cough syrup and a tablet in his hand. "I saw the footage," he said, "from the garden camera. You weren't hurting her. You were helping." I didn't say anything at first, just stared. "She's trying to get rid of you," he added, his voice lower now. Is there a reason I hesitated, then nodded slowly? "Because I know something she doesn't want you to find out." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Stay," he said. "Please. Hazel needs you. And maybe so do I." That was the beginning of a war. Miranda smiled at me the next day, like nothing happened. Sweet as honey. "Still here, I see," she said, stepping into the nursery. "One mistake, and you're gone." I didn't reply. I just hummed softly to Hazel and watched her eyelids grow heavy. From that point on, everything was calculated. Miranda would bait me. Her lover Garrett would make slick comments, brush up against me in hallways, laugh with that smug confidence of a man who thought he owned the world, but I never gave them the satisfaction. Instead, I made myself indispensable. Hazel cried for me, slept best when I rocked her, ate more when I fed her. Daniel noticed. He watched more than he spoke. And at dinner, when Miranda placed her hand on Garrett's arm a little too long, Daniel's eyes followed every move, every glance. One day, Thomas the butler slipped me a leather folder, inside photos, financial records, even a flash drive. It was everything proof of Miranda and Garrett's affair and evidence they were siphoning funds from Daniel's trust. I gave it all to him. Daniel didn't explode. He didn't cry. He simply said, "We wait, let her feel safe, then we strike." but Miranda wasn't going down without a fight. One afternoon, she came into the nursery and tried to take Hazel for a drive. Alone. I stood in her way. Mr. Langford asked me to stay with her. Her smile faded. "You're beginning to think you run things here." "No," I said calmly. "Just following the rules. The ones that keep your daughter safe." The final blow came 2 days later. Miranda and Garrett burst into the nursery, accusing me of trying to take Hazel. She lunged for the baby, shouted that I was trying to hurt her. Garrett grabbed me hard, said I was dangerous. And just as chaos swirled, Daniel walked in. Enough. He held up the tiny hidden camera I'd planted days ago. "This will tell me everything." Miranda blanched. Garrett stammered. Thomas stepped in with the laptop. We watched the footage. Miranda's screaming lies. Garrett's grip on my arm. My calm, desperate voice. When it ended, the silence was louder than the storm outside. "Pack your things," Daniel said coldly. "You have 1 hour." Miranda tried to protest. Garrett looked like he'd been punched in the gut. "You stole from me," Daniel added. "You lied, and you tried to ruin someone good, and just like that, they were gone. But not for long." Miranda didn't go quietly. She tried everything: gossip, anonymous tips, child services. She even mailed Hazel a teddy bear with a GPS tracker sewn inside. That's when I knew. This woman wasn't just cruel, she was dangerous. Daniel filed for full custody. The judge saw the footage, the tracker, the trespassing. "She's a threat," Daniel said. "Not just to my child, but to anyone who stands between her and what she wants." The judge agreed. Miranda was stripped of custody, granted supervised visits only. But I knew this wasn't over. A person like her doesn't quit. She hides. She schemes. She waits for you to let your guard down. And that's why I stay close. Not because I'm afraid, but because Hazel deserves someone who won't back down. Not to money, not to power, not to people who think they can do whatever they want just because they've never been told no. You see, people like Miranda think the world is theirs to control because no one ever challenged them. Until someone like me does. Quietly, steadily, with truth. Now tell me, do you think Miranda was always evil, or did her privilege blind her to the point of no return? And how many people like me, maids, nurses, teachers, have been punished just for doing the right thing? Comment below. I want to hear your stories. Let's talk about what justice really looks like when the lights go out and the cameras stop rolling.